What's up, guys? How we doing tonight? Not gonna lie, I thought I was in the mood for that song, and then it just started playing, and I got really fucking tired of it. I apologize for that. Just had to cut it short tonight. I usually start these by saying, hopefully your trading went well today. Hopefully, well, I mean, to be honest, looking at the result, right? If we're analyzing price here, looking at the result, we had a beautiful, beautiful day, right? Beautiful distribution, clear drawn liquidity. We'll revisit it, no worries. But for my side of things, I'm quite happy I did not trade. I'm just following my rules here. This is a scenario, right? Conditions I'm unfamiliar with. So I'm taking a step back. And to be honest, it's giving me time to concentrate on other things like the app, which is progressing much quicker due to that. But to talk more about price, what were our objectives, right? Talking purely about the weekly outlook here. Well, price going higher into our daily fair value gap was our first draw. So let's try that out. Our first draw on liquidity was price returning to our daily fair value gap. Let me place that. I know my visibility. All right, I'll see it in the 1 minute chart. Well, I don't want to see it in the 1 minute chart. I want to see it in the 15. Give me a second, guys. Let me just save that template. Ever changing. What else can we tell? Well, there is SMT, right? If we look at this level for ES, now this is quite hard to see, but if we look at the values, right, at the top of our charts right here, the low of this candle is 5,724, and the low of this candle is 5,724.25. So we actually did not take it out. So I'm going to have to refer to the other candle, which is 725.25, which we took out by one handle on ES. But if we look at Nasdaq, we did not take out this level. What does this form? SMT. So yes, you can use the swing lows in this case specifically, but this SMT is still valid today. We're still looking at a move towards our daily fair value gap. This SMT brings confluence to our idea. How I view SMT is very simple, right? SMT equals important point in market structure. I don't regard it directly as reversal. Basically, every time there's SMT, there's going to be reversals. But I understand that this point there at this time, there is divergence. And so this will form an important swing that we will use in price action. This can be quite confusing as an explanation. I do understand that, but we'll be going into more detail as we move along, right? All we see at first, drawn liquidity was the daily fair value gap. We were looking for upside pricing. Now, due to the fact that we had news at 10 a.m. and also it was election day technically, right? 5th of November, I'm not anticipating a statistical day. So as I stated, I was going to be sharing more data about rice statistics and about how I utilize it. But today, I did not utilize it. And just to clarify once again, I am demo trading, but I did not use it at all because I did not expect that today would be a statistical day. Turns out it was a pretty nice in terms of statistics, but as I said, I did not anticipate it, so I'm not going to share it with you guys because I did not use it. Looking purely at the price action since the daily open, what do we see? Well, very clear manipulation, very beautiful move to the downside right here. And once again, how do we confirm manipulation, right? How do we confirm that idea? It's always three things, I guess. So first, you need a sweep of liquidity. Then you need an important time. Right at the open of the day, if we're talking purely statistics now, I said I wouldn't bring them up today, but I guess I am. The first, basically making the high before midnight, or the high or the low, right? Forming an extreme before midnight is extremely probable, statistically speaking. Very high probability. So I could share the data, but I've shared them multiple times. Just sift through my Twitter profile and you'll find a bunch of example of daily highs and lows. What I'm concentrating on is this low that formed the important low, I guess, on ES, if we can say it, is formed with SMT. So now I have an important level early in my day. So time is aligned. I have taken out liquidity, right? I have had a stop rate, and SMT confirms my idea. Now I understand that this, as I call them, right, a candidate low of day. So a low of day candidate. And I just noticed something. Sorry, I just switched over finally to the Pro Plus from 2 degrees. So let me actually put it on the other chart so that they look alike. They look definitely cleaner in my opinion than the free version. So I have a potential low of day candidate. From this point on, am I going to anticipate returns to midnight open? No. Am I going to anticipate a London run? No. Why? Because I'm bullish. I have already pre-established that I'm bullish until this daily fair value gap, which let me actually move to the right so we can see something. And so from this point on, all I'm looking for is retracements lower to give me an opportunity to long. One thing that is important to point out though, is that we have 10 a.m. news. Now, I will return to this once again. I have spoken about it tremendously in the past weeks. When are we allowed to trade before news? Why is that SMT? Well, actually, I did not mark out the correct thing. Sorry. Why am I framing this as SMT? I think I had a brain bleed or something. Thank you for telling me. There is no SMT at this point in time. It is lower time frame SMT. I wrote down in my notes that there was SMT at low of day, but clearly not 15-minute SMT. And actually, it looks like minute SMT, if it's not even lower. Thanks for pointing it out. That was not SMT at all. But if we look right here, you'll notice that there is quite definitely SMT here. That would have been bad going up on YouTube like this. That would have been bad. So looking at this, clearly higher here, yes, but at this point in time, still confirmed. Does that make more sense, Magic? Sorry about that, and thank you for pointing it out. So yes, there is SMT. I don't value higher time frame SMT better than others, but what we have to keep in mind is that the SMT framing my whole idea is also my higher time frame SMT on the daily chart that I see and that we noted at the start of the call, right? So important to point out. Going back down, sorry, I'm getting situated. Yes, let's go back to a 15 here. That mistake really put me off. Looking here, same idea, same, there's SMT, daily time frame, and on a lower time frame, right? There's SMT at this level, still candidate for the low of day. Why am I allowed to trade before news? More so, when am I allowed to trade before news? I feel like I repeat this every single week, but it is something very important and it's part of my rule-based idea. I need a Judas swing right at 9:30. That is my time variable. So Judas swing at 9:30, and I need SMT to confirm it. So let's look at 9:30. Did I get a Judas swing? Well, not on this time frame. But do I need it to be a 15-minute candle Judas swing? No. It can be just a simple Judas swing. Did I get a Judas swing here? Not at all. And no, I would not regard this slight move down and yes, forming SMT, right? We can clearly see that ES here has taken out this level, or we can be more precise if you guys prefer right here, while Nasdaq hasn't. But to me, I don't see a Judas swing. For me to consider trading before 10 a.m., I would have needed some form of Judas swing, hopefully all the way down to midnight open. That would have been best case scenario, or at least down here to midnight open, taking out recent liquidity, right? Just a recent consolidation. But election day, so I do not expect the best PA. We still had very nice delivery, very nice distribution, just not in the best way possible. Now looking at 10 a.m., what do we see? Well, we just formed a Judas higher when my higher time frame point of interest. From this point on, I can start shorting. So from this point on, if you started looking for shorts, I wouldn't blame you, especially looking at the 10 a.m. open high, right? Thinking in the terms of power of 3 here for that 10 a.m. open, I'm thinking we are going to open high, then distribute lower, perhaps to a lower time frame like retracement objective. But I would still anticipate a move lower. So just in case you guys tried that short and it did not work out, well, to me, it was still a valid setup. Looking at this from this point on, what am I looking for? Very simple. As always, I'm looking for the first breaker block to form, but I need SMT. So is there SMT? Let's look at it. I'm looking at this chart at that time for pretty much the first time. I really just saw this move higher, missed my move, got off the chart, started working. So let's actually look. there was not SMT there. Let's see if there was SMT here at this point in time. Yes, there was. So there was also SMT. If we look right here, it's going to be a little simpler once I draw it. At this 10 a.m. area, there was SMT. ES did take it out later, but at this point in time, at the time of the news, there was SMT here. So I would just be looking for a bearish breaker and look for a bearish unicorn to take my trade. First bearish breaker to form right here. And yes, we are analyzing a loss currently. And that's part of the game too. You got to take note and look at, was it still a good trade, right? First overlapping array, right? Fair value gap or inversion fair value gap is right here. Would have taken the instant short here, not waiting for price to form a bearish fair value gap since I have an inversion fair value gap to trade. I don't need that. Again, thinking about the entry here, this is not a fair value gap yet, so I couldn't use it. Inversion fair value gap right here, order block, and I would have used let it sweep this liquidity, but not this one. Now, yes, this looks cherry picked, but if you think always in terms of 3 PD arrays, what do I see? Well, this fair value gap doesn't exist yet because this candle hasn't closed. I'm entering on this candle. So now I have the order block right here, inversion fair value gap. This is no longer an inversion fair value gap. It has been closed through on both sides. So next up, my third PD array is that liquidity. So I have to allow for price to sweep that liquidity. Where is the next logical point in which I could place my stop? Well, at this swing high, right here. 3 PD array stop loss rule. Now, we don't have to look at objectives. We can actually, you know what, why not? Especially on a day when I'm bullish and we saw such an aggressive move, I would look for smaller objectives. But on a day like today that we see the result now, it seems cherry picked. So always looking at the same thing, 5-minute range, looking, well, the most recent range technically is this one. But I would utilize the range all the way from in the New York Hill Zone, right? So 930, I would still utilize this entire range. Well, actually looking at ES and how 930 formed a swing low on ES, I would utilize the 930 range. And now that makes, oh wow, that makes my discount order block my first PD array in discount a bullish order block. Now I am going to leave this level, but now this seems cherry picked. So let's look at what if I use the entire big range, which would have been the wrong range in this case, but let's look at it. And that my partial objective was not this order block, but the first PD array in discount, which would be this liquidity in this case. Looking back on a 1 minute, you would have looked for price to go down here. Anyways, if you had this as your objective, 1.24 R, that is too small for me to even consider a take profit, but it's very nice to see the perfect reaction to the first discount inefficiency for sure. But you would have taken that loss. Let's be honest, for me, if it consolidated this much, well, first of all, after it goes to, what is that? What is that? That is 2.5 handles off my stop. I am trailing that, and I'm putting it break even as soon as I can. Because this should have been a loss. I barely did not get stopped out. So I'm going to try and mitigate my risk on this position as soon as I can. So for me, that would have been a break even here. Looking at this line, right? Once we trade back into it, because as soon as I am no longer break even, I'm back in profit. Put that guy break even. If not, possibly a slight loss. Looking here, 10 a.m. open would have been a nice spot to trail my stop to. So a slight loss at this point in time, about half the original risk. I think the order block wasn't giving 2R. Exactly, Justin. So the order block just did not allow for enough. Here, I'll actually mark out the 5-minute order block did not offer enough return for your position. So I would have never taken profits at this point in time, no matter how picture perfect it looked, right? Definitely, if you held on here, and as I'm explaining, I would have been stopped out break even or in a slight loss here. Well, even if you held on to this trade, from this point on, and seeing that reaction off the order block, you should at least be break even. Now, is that the pessimistic approach? No, that is the optimistic approach, right? But in all cases, if you held on purely mechanically, you would have been at a loss here. So a short that didn't work out. We see one finally. Do we have any questions actually before I clear this out and we look at the rest of it? Is the 1 minute discount fair value gap a good target in this case? This around 20,160, 20,160. This one, I would have never looked at a 1 minute PD array because I don't refer to 1 minute PD arrays for mid-turn movements. So if I'm framing this short and I'm looking for my first discount in efficiency, it's going to be my first discount in efficiency. And for me, that is a 5-minute time frame. So no matter what. And yes, we would have utilized this range in the perfect scenario, but even in this case, our first discount in efficiency doesn't offer enough R. So it's either not a trade or just not take profiting here, waiting until this partial there. So in any case, it did not work out. And looking at ES, honestly, just forming SMT constantly, I would have still held that trade if I wasn't stopped out already. But this was consolidation, getting ready for our next move. I don't see any more questions, so let me just clear this out. We'll actually leave the 5-minute order block that now, referring to the range, the New York opening range. This is what you see right now, right? And if we put a line at 10:30 just to mark out the end, right? New York opening range, 9:30 to 10:30. Which side has the highest probability of getting hit? Well, I can tell you from experience and from my statistics that the high of the opening range is the target very most often. And if we're thinking in terms of a Tuesday, which is often the case is bullish, and we open and form a bullish range, this is over 80%. You know what? I don't want to tell you guys random numbers. Let me open the app, and it's going to take me 3 seconds, and I'm going to go get that. Since now we have access to the today dashboard, and technically we are still Tuesday. So let's go look at it. Now, I understand I'm not sharing my screen. I'm going to take a screenshot and put it on it. And we are going to look at the New York opening range, and we are going to look at the percentage chances. Oh, I was close. I was close. We needed a little more, right? So I am just going to take a small screenshot, just making sure you guys can see all of it. If we have a bullish session, hopefully it's not too big for TradingView to just paste into. Awesome. Now you guys should be able to see it. This is the data for the session, which I chose the opening range. I did not include it in the screenshot. When you paste images that are too large in TradingView, oftentimes it just doesn't let you. Looking at the data, what does this tell me? Okay, well, my session, the New York opening range, when it is bullish, oftentimes the rates, well, oftentimes, 75% of the time, the high of this session gets rated. Now, I did not include in the picture, but it is very high also at 65% for the low of the session. But which one has the edge, right? Which one has the highest probability? The high of the session. That is just additional confluence. Seeing this reaction from my first discount array, seeing my retracement objective met, and framing this consolidation and this move lower as a raid of my consolidation gives you a very high probability move, at least to the opening range. Even if this is a manipulation to then go lower, I would be extremely confident in seeing the opening range, which lines up with data highs since we had 10 a.m. news in this case, has a very, very high probability objective. This is definitely something I would never question. If we look, what do you need for an entry? Well, SMT. Do I have SMT? I see a bunch of divergence. Let's look if we have precisely SMT, which I don't think we do have any SMT on the lows, right? Oh, wow. Definitely. Definitely. Never mind. So I'll just use the one that is more in my face, if I can say it like that, just looking precisely. But there was definitely SMT at this point in time, right? And a lot of it, you can use specific swing points everywhere, and you will see it. Just with me looking at this candle, you can notice it right away. SMT is present. I have my context for my trade. What else do I need? Well, a breaker block. First bullish breaker to form, right here. What is my entry model? Well, I'm looking for a retracement into an inversion fair value gap that aligns with my breaker block or a fair value gap. So let me actually just put the right time for template. Sorry. Right here, we never retrace into this inversion fair value gap. So this would not have provided me with any entries. This one, did we retrace into it? Yes. Is it overlapping with my breaker block? Yes. And it is the first overlapping PD array that we retraced into for my breaker block. Unless we retrace into this fair value gap. Wow, I did not spot this. Now, this is not a pessimistic approach, but as you can see here, well, this candle did not even close above the breaker block. So whenever I'm looking, and I don't mind basically taking trades before the breaker is technically formed, right? Mechanically speaking, we have to trade above this high and not just trade above this range, right? My last up close candle from my initial range. I need a close above it. So whenever I don't wait for this, I at least want to see price close above the last up close candle from my range before considering a trade. So this would have been a little bit greedy of an entry. And as I said in these reviews, I like to be pessimistic. I like to be realistic. Closing above this right here makes this bearish fair value gap now an inverted bullish fair value gap. Entering right when we retest into it, barely one handle drawdown, and then 3 PD array stop loss rule. My entry PD array, and then the two closest ones. So I have fair value gap below, which is not yet a fair value gap actually. So would not have used that. Order block right here, and then you have fair value gap below that aligns with that inversion fair value gap. 25 handle stop is really not bad. And looking at the RR to our opening range high, right, which I would have been very confident in hitting even without plotting my standard deviations. But let's look at confluence. With the reversal range being here, I wouldn't have been surprised to see price spike up and still respect this area if we were to reverse at this point in time. But definitely a very nice move, offering a great 2.24R, right? And honestly, in this case, 3 PD array stop loss rule, right? Mechanical stop loss placement tells me my stop is here, but I would have been very confident in placing my stop here. Just I'm forgetting the word for it. I want to say the combination of arrays that are in this area, especially after we consolidated and rated this. As soon as we start trading back lower, we are going to go aggressively lower. We have already accumulated orders. We are ready to distribute. Accumulation, manipulation, and if I'm wrong and this isn't manipulation, then it's going to keep distributing lower aggressively. So in these cases, I can use very tight stops, but pessimistic mechanical approach right here, giving you plenty of risk to reward, more than you'll ever need, giving you a very nice trade that lasted for 25 minutes. Not too bad. As I said, I'm very happy with not trading elections, but there was a nice trade in this case. And of course, you could have held a runner all the way to 4 standard deviations, would have waited for consequent encroachment of my daily fair value gap, which is this line you see. I will actually put it solid so it's a little easier to differentiate, which we never reach, right? But at this point in time, I'm trailing my stop aggressively, and I probably got stopped out right after opening range high, trailing my stop very aggressively. Do we have any questions about this long? If I was trading, well, in no way I would be trading my real accounts, all right? It's kind of hard for me to make the difference there, but I would never trade my live account. But let's imagine that today was not an election day. Let's imagine we were just in any other market day, right? 10 a.m. news. Which trade would I be considering? Which trade would be the right trade for me? The short that didn't work or the long that worked? Well, truth is, it's not because the short didn't work that it was bad, but it was bad. Why? Because it was counter bias. But now that you reach your daily fair value gap, you can frame a reversal. And you had your confirmations for your reversal. So the truth is, both trades were okay. Just one didn't work because you can't always win as a trader, and one worked. If you took both, you lost 1R here, and let's just be very, very conservative in saying you made 2R here. So you're in profit 1.25R on the day. I've never seen anyone mad with 1R profit at the end of the day. I didn't see any questions in chat, so I'm going to give you guys another chance to ask anything you may have. But I'm guessing it was pretty clear for the day. Tell me this, guys. Are you guys trading this week? Or did I manage to influence some of you into not trading this week? You did? I was thinking about Thursday. All right. All right. All right. Only one trade. Yeah, but that word, that only one trade yet. You guys are allowed to trade. I'm not telling you guys not to trade. I'm telling you guys, I want to be safe here. But that's going to lead to less returns. I know I can make money this week. But I know it's going to be hard on my mental. So I want to play it safe. We're still going to have another review on Thursday anyways, to be able to check in, see how it went. I'm demo trading, right? I'm demo trading the same account I've been demo trading for a year and a half. Oh, well, with one trade that shouldn't be in there that made 200 grand because I over leveraged on my demo account playing around. But other than that, I've been demo trading on the same demo account and just building consistency there, right? I won't be mad if I improve this week. That's the thing. If I lost 0, made 0, but I was there on the markets, ready to trade, looking for ideas, I'm staying sharp. I'm quite happy with that. But on those influential words, I hope, I wish you all a great night. Good luck if you are trading for the rest of the week. For myself, I will see you all on Thursday. Have a great night, you guys.